like how Korea is, like the sociology, I guess, or the culture, how people think. And Korea is great, beautiful country, but I think Korea is a great country to live in if you're rich, if you have the money.
Mm.
And if not, you really have to work to keep up appearances to people, as in either you went to a good school. If you're not from a rich family, you have to at least be from a good school to prove that you are like working your way up in the
Mm-hmm.
social ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was like one of the big like stressful things for me, is like you just have to keep up appearances all the time. Like even marriage is like such a, I have to do it in a big place where people are going to be impressed, and my husband has to be good looking in order for people to be impressed, or they won't be jealous of me, or they won't think of me highly. Everything is for someone, like for appearances. And
Yeah.
that was like a big stress. And I've like told that to my boyfriend continuously, and like the reasons I left Korea. And I feel like you hear it, but you don't really like understand it fully. And he was like that, and then he watched this Squid Games. I was like, you see how Korean people are? Isn't this exactly what I explained? And he was like, I get it more now, because you see actual like characters in a situation.
Yeah, yeah. And if
Yeah.
you're a fan of like books like 1984 or like Brave New World or anything dystopian, this is exactly
Mhm.
up your alley because it is for me. I was like, I watched a preview and I was like, yeah, this is good. And
Yeah,
you
I
too,
know.
you
I
were
was
like,
like,
you'd like
yeah.
this, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
No, it's very interesting. I heard that the writer wrote this like almost 10 years ago.
Oh wow.
He pitched it to in Korea, of course, and everyone was like, "No, this is too much for TV," which is exactly
Mm,
what. Like even now, I don't think they would be able to air this on network TV at
wow.
all in
Mm-hmm.
Korea, because Korea is very, very like PG when it comes to network TV.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and then it's really good though. I could see why it wasn't aired, like it wasn't able to like being produced in
Yeah.
Korea. Yeah, at that time especially, 10
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah.
And let me ask you, like, what do you think the game, like, what do you think it represents, like the whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
For example, I think that the game in the movie is
Mm-hmm.
actually the real world as it is here today. Like you and me living in the real world. It's the real world. You're trying to get a job, get money in this real world because you
Mm-hmm.
got bills to pay, because you got, sick family members, because you're broke, because
Mm-hmm.
your business venture went bad and you just made bad decisions, or you gambled all your money away, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go to work and play by the rules of the game to get this money. And then,
Mm-hmm.
but when they're out of that game, they're not in the island. That is where their real world, like their dreams, their hopes, their aspirations
Mm-hmm.
really are. And they're failing at it. So, in a way, it's kind of like in today's society, we go to work, like maybe you don't like, obviously, this game, these people find out that this game is not exactly what they were told it was. And it's not exactly a
Right.
good thing. It
Mm-hmm.
sucks, actually.
And
So,
it's like luring people in with the hope of a better
yeah,
life, I guess.
very much like
Mm-hmm.
today's. And if you go by what I always talk about on this show, what we always talk about on this show, it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're going to work for a job you don't like. You have to
Mm-hmm.
do things you don't want to do because you
Right.
have to. And it's so alluring. The prize is
Mm-hmm.
so alluring
Right.
that security you might get with that money you get, that's so alluring, and therefore you kind of risk it all to
Mm-hmm.
play it. So I thought it was very interesting because they're actually in the real world of today, and they go into like
Mm-hmm.
this bizarre world in another island to play this game, and then they come
Mm-hmm.
back, but the island is actually the real world that we're living in today.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I
I
saw
could
I
see.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's and I'm only at the second episode, and I haven't given away too much. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah.
Like you guys.
No, we gave away as much as like you can see in the trailer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Exactly.
Not even. The
Not even.
trailer is
Not
like
even.
you see more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I think for me, I was more interested in again, like I love movies like this or movies or series like this because you can see exactly how human beings. This is again why I do not believe humans are born good. I believe in the theory that all humans are evil, and I do not trust people in general. I don't really have faith in humanity that much.
Mhm.
And sometimes, like, once in a while, you'll see, like, a heartwarming story, and I'm like, oh, there still are good people. Good. I mean, but I think as a whole, like, I don't know, people are selfish, and, you know, if it comes to especially money or all of that, like, you see the real side of humans being selfish, or you know how they would act in a situation like that, and that just like interests me so much, human behavior in general.
Yeah.
And it shows a lot of that, especially me being from Korea. I can see why these people are acting exactly why they how they act in the show.
Hmm.
Like, one of the characters is from the Seoul University, is the highest university in Korea. It's like the Harvard of Korea.
Mm.
So if you're from Seoul University, by the way, my dad is.
Oh, cool.
But yeah,
What's up,
it's
Dad?
a whole thing. Yeah.
Mr. Soul?
Oh.
Mr.
Yeah, but it's like literally the older generation is like, my grandparents married my mom to my dad just because he's from that school. Like in Korea, it's like, he's from Harvard. That's a bright young man with a bright future. Like, that's a good person, you know? It's kind of like good education is the highest, you know, thing someone can achieve. And even like a cab driver, you can get in a cab when you're in, and they'll be like, "Oh, you're a student? Where's your school? Like, where are you going?" And then if you say like Seoul University, they're like, "Oh, you're a smart kid. You're a good boy. Like, your parents would be so proud of you." Like, that's the whole conversation. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's such
Yeah.
an important thing in Korea. And one of the characters, like in the show in Squid Game, is from that university, and so everyone, like the mom is so proud of him. Like, you could
Yes.
see just like, I was just like, oh, this is like very, very Korean.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, these moms like break their back working just to give their kid a good education. And once their kid is in from a university that is known, like a Harvard type place, like an Ivy League from Korea, then it's just like, I've achieved my goal of life type of thing, you know. And they
Yeah.
still, like, Korean moms still treat their kids like they're 10, even if their kid is 40. And you could see that in this series, like how the moms act.
Yeah.